What happens when one of Hollywood's biggest superstars decides she's had enough of being disrespected on live television? When years of frustration finally explode in the most unexpected way? This is the story of the moment Jennifer Lopez absolutely destroyed Joy Behar on The View, leading to one of the most shocking exits in daytime TV history. A story about power, respect, and what happens when someone finally fights back. Make sure to subscribe and drop a comment below, because you won't believe how this unfolded. It was supposed to be a routine promotional appearance. Jennifer Lopez had a new project to promote. The View wanted their ratings boost, and everyone expected the usual formula. Polite questions, rehearsed answers, a few laughs, and smiles all around. But from the moment Jennifer walked onto that stage, something felt off. The energy was tense, electric, as if everyone knew this interview wouldn't go according to script. The other hosts, Whoopi Goldberg, Sarah Haynes, and the rest, welcomed Jennifer warmly. The audience cheered as she took her seat, glowing in a crisp white blazer that gleamed under the studio lights. But Joy Behar, sitting at the far end of the table, radiated a different energy altogether. Her smile looked forced, her posture stiff, her eyes sharp with intent. For the first few minutes, everything went smoothly. Jennifer talked about her latest ventures and family life, charming and confident as ever. But then Joy cut her off mid-sentence. "You know, Jennifer," she said, "there's something I've been wanting to ask for a while." The room's atmosphere shifted instantly. The other hosts exchanged uneasy glances. Jennifer raised an eyebrow, her smile tightening slightly. "Of course," she replied evenly. "What would you like to know?" Joy leaned forward, her tone dripping with that infamous mix of faux curiosity and condescension. "I've watched your career for years, and I just have to wonder, how have you managed to stay relevant for so long, despite your, well, limited vocal range?" The studio fell silent. The other hosts froze. The audience held its breath. This wasn't a question. It was an attack. Jennifer's expression barely changed, but something flickered in her eyes. She took a calm breath. "I'm sorry, Joy, but are you suggesting I don't deserve my success?" Joy smirked, sensing an opening. "Well, let's be honest. You've had hits, sure, but most critics agree your voice isn't exactly Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey. And your acting, well, do you really think people see you as a serious actress? Most of your roles feel like Jennifer Lopez playing Jennifer Lopez. Don't you think audiences deserve more authenticity?" Jennifer's hands gripped the edge of the table. The smile remained, but her voice sharpened. Smooth, measured, with unmistakable steel beneath it. "Joy, I have to say, this is quite a departure from what I was told this interview would be. But since you want to discuss my career, let's do it properly." She turned fully toward Joy, her posture commanding. "You're right. I'm not Whitney Houston. No one is. She was one of a kind. But I've sold over 80 million records worldwide, had multiple #1 hits, and built a career by being authentic, not by imitating anyone else." Joy tried to interject, but Jennifer continued without missing a beat. "And as for my acting, I've been nominated for Golden Globes. I've worked with incredible directors and told stories that have resonated with millions. If that doesn't qualify as serious, maybe our definitions differ." The air in the room was heavy, charged. Every eye was on them. The audience sensed it. Jennifer Lopez wasn't just defending herself. She was reclaiming her respect. Live on air. Locked in this verbal combat, neither woman was willing to back down. Joy, perhaps realizing that her initial attack hadn't landed the way she hoped, decided to escalate further. "But Jennifer," she pressed, "don't you think there's something to be said for staying in your lane? I mean, you're a singer who acts, an actress who sings, a performer who does business. Some might say you're spread pretty thin." That was the moment everything changed. The polite mask slipped from Jennifer's face, revealing the fire beneath. "Stay in my lane?" she repeated, her voice dropping to a dangerous register. Joy, let me ask you something. What exactly is your lane? The question hung in the air like a loaded weapon. Joy's smirk faltered, clearly not expecting Jennifer to turn the tables so swiftly. She straightened in her chair and replied defensively, "My lane? I'm a comedian. I'm a talk show host. I've been doing this for decades. I know what my lane is." Jennifer nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful, but her eyes locked on Joy. "A comedian? Interesting. And when was the last time you actually did stand-up comedy? The last time you performed in front of an audience that wasn't contractually obligated to laugh at your jokes?" The other hosts shifted uncomfortably. The studio seemed to hold its breath. Joy's face flushed. "I don't need to prove my comedy credentials to you, Jennifer. I've been on television longer than you've been famous. I've earned my place here through years of hard work and dedication to my craft." "Your craft?" Jennifer repeated, her tone sharpening. "Joy, let me tell you about hard work. While you were sitting behind a desk making snarky comments about other people's lives, I was rehearsing choreography until my feet bled. I was taking acting classes, voice lessons, working with dialect coaches, studying with the best. I was performing for audiences who wouldn't hesitate to tell me if I wasn't good enough." She leaned forward, commanding the room with her presence. "You want to talk about lanes? I never stayed in one because I refused to let anyone limit what I could achieve. Every time someone told me I couldn't do something, I worked twice as hard to prove them wrong. When people said a girl from the Bronx couldn't make it in Hollywood, I made it. When they said I couldn't act, I proved them wrong. When they said I couldn't run a business, I built an empire." Joy tried to recover. "But surely you can admit there's value in focusing on one thing and doing it really well, rather than spreading yourself across so many industries." Jennifer let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "Value in focusing on one thing? Joy, you've been doing the same basic job for 20 years. You sit at this table, read from a teleprompter, make predictable jokes about politicians, and occasionally attack guests promoting their work. If that's your idea of focus, then we clearly have different definitions of success." Whoopi Goldberg tried to step in, her tone calm but firm. "Ladies, maybe we should take this conversation in a different direction." But Jennifer wasn't done, and Joy wasn't backing down. "Attack guests?" Joy snapped. "I ask the questions that need to be asked. I don't just throw softballs so celebrities can sell their projects. Real journalism means asking tough questions." Jennifer raised her eyebrows and smiled coldly. "Real journalism? Joy, when was the last time you broke a story? When was the last time you did investigative reporting? Or anything that could be considered journalism instead of gossip and opinion?" The blow landed hard. Joy's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. When she finally spoke, her voice trembled. "I provide commentary. I analyze current events. That's a legitimate form of journalism." "Commentary," Jennifer said, nodding slowly. "Opinion. Gossip. Sitting in judgment of others without ever putting yourself on the line to create something real. I've been in this business long enough to recognize jealousy when I see it. And right now, I see someone who's spent her entire career on the sidelines, criticizing people who actually get in the game." The studio went silent. Even the camera operators seemed frozen. Joy's face had drained of color, her hands gripping the table so tightly her knuckles were white. "Jealousy?" she echoed, her voice trembling. "I think you're jealous of anyone who's actually accomplished something," Jennifer said smoothly. "Jealous of people who take risks, who build something lasting, instead of tearing down others to feel relevant." Joy's voice broke. "How dare you come on this show and attack me personally? I invited you here as a guest. I've always been professional with you." Jennifer's laugh was incredulous. "Professional? Joy, you started this by insulting my voice, dismissing my acting, and questioning whether I deserve my success. If that's what you call professionalism, then we clearly have different standards." She adjusted her posture, straightening in a way that made her seem to tower over the table. But here's the real difference between us. When people criticize me, they're talking about something I created. Songs I've sung, movies I've made, businesses I've built. When people criticize you, what exactly are they criticizing? Your ability to read cue cards? Your talent for making mean comments about people who actually do things with their lives? Sarah Haynes tried to intervene, her tone nervous. Jennifer, tell us about your upcoming projects. But it was too late. The air in the studio was thick with tension, and both women were far beyond the point of polite conversation. Jennifer leaned forward slightly as she responded, her tone measured but edged with steel. I have provided entertainment and commentary to millions of viewers for decades, Joy said, her chin raised defiantly. I have a loyal fan base who appreciates what I bring to this show. Entertainment? Jennifer mused. Is that what we're calling this? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks more like bullying. It looks like someone who's never had the courage to step into the spotlight, using her platform to tear down people who have. Her voice grew stronger with each word, more confident, more commanding. You know what real entertainment is, Joy? It's making people feel something positive. It's bringing joy, bringing escape, bringing inspiration. What you do isn't entertainment. It's just negativity disguised as opinion. Joy's face flushed red. Her composure cracked under the relentless pressure of Jennifer's words. But instead of backing down, she made the fatal mistake of doubling down. You want to talk about negativity? You want to talk about bringing people down? Let's talk about how you've built your entire career on selling an image that isn't real. Let's talk about the plastic surgery, the constant reinvention, the way you've manufactured this persona. The moment those words left Joy's mouth, something changed in Jennifer's eyes. If she had been controlled before, now something primal, something dangerous, had been unleashed. The other hosts sensed it. Whoopi even raised her hand as if to physically stop what was coming, but it was too late. Jennifer stood slowly, her chair rolling back slightly from the force. She wasn't shouting. She wasn't gesturing wildly, but her presence filled the entire studio, making everyone else seem small by comparison. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, but it carried with crystal clarity. Joy, she said, the name sounding almost like a curse. You just made a very big mistake. She placed both hands on the table and leaned forward, her gaze locked on Joy with laser intensity. You want to talk about what's real? Let's talk about what's real. What's real is that I came from nothing and built something extraordinary. What's real is that I've worked harder than you could ever imagine to get where I am. What's real is that millions of people around the world have found inspiration, joy, and escape in the work I've created. Joy tried to interrupt, stammering, I didn't mean to. No, you did mean to, Jennifer snapped. That's exactly what you meant to do. You meant to tear me down because that's what you do. That's your entire contribution to the world. You sit in that chair and diminish other people because it makes you feel better about your own lack of accomplishment. Her voice grew stronger, more commanding. But here's what's really real, Joy. You have never created anything that mattered to anyone. You have never inspired anyone. You have never made anyone's life better through your work. The studio was so quiet, you could hear the hum of the air conditioning. Joy opened her mouth, but no sound came out. The other hosts looked like they were witnessing a natural disaster, fascinated and horrified in equal measure. Jennifer continued, her voice filling every inch of the space. You know what else is real? The fact that when you go home tonight, you'll be the same bitter, unfulfilled person you were when you woke up this morning. You'll be someone whose greatest achievement is sitting at a table making cruel comments about people who are actually living their dreams. Your legacy will be a collection of petty insults and failed attempts at humor. Joy finally found her voice, though it came out as barely more than a whisper. You can't talk to me like this. This is my show. Your show. Jennifer's laugh was sharp and cutting. "Joy, this isn't your show. This is a show you happen to appear on. You're not the star here. You're barely even supporting cast. You're the person they keep around to say the things that are too mean for anyone else to say. And then everyone shrugs it off with, 'Oh, that's just Joy being Joy.' As if being consistently cruel is some kind of charming personality quirk." She straightened, towering over the table, her presence absolutely commanding. "But do you want to know what's really pathetic about all of this? You had an opportunity today. You had Jennifer Lopez, someone who has actually accomplished something, sitting right across from you. You could have had an interesting conversation. You could have learned something. You could have asked about the challenges I've overcome, the lessons I've learned, the things I've discovered about creativity, perseverance, and building something meaningful." Joy was shrinking in her chair now, looking smaller and smaller as Jennifer's words hit their mark with devastating precision. "Instead, you chose to be petty. You chose to be small. You chose to waste everyone's time, including your own, by trying to tear down someone who has achieved more in her career than you ever will in your entire lifetime." Whoopi finally spoke, her voice strained. "Jennifer, maybe we should take a break." But Jennifer wasn't finished. Everyone in the studio could sense one final blow coming. "You know what the saddest part of all this is, Joy? It's that you actually had talent once. I've seen your old stand-up routines. You were funny. You had timing. You had wit. You had something to say. But somewhere along the way, you decided it was easier to tear other people down than to build yourself up. You decided it was safer to sit behind this desk and throw stones than to get back out there and risk failing at something that mattered." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Joy's face had gone completely pale, the weight of Jennifer's truth sinking in as the studio sat in stunned silence.